Hi guys, I'm Nate from Recapped Now. Today, I'm going to recap a 2010 comedy romance movie called Unresolved Tension. Juanjo, a college professor, seeks help from his student to win his girlfriend back. However, things become complicated after they find out a secret. Inside a busy bookstore, customers queue merely to get a copy of Jazz Romero's book, which addresses unmet cravings. Of course, the renowned author attends her book launch, but she spots a woman reading another book. Jazz questions why she is reading a book about pleasure, but the woman denies it, claiming she is only browsing the book. Suddenly, the woman recognizes Jazz and exclaims, "I'm a fan!" She introduces herself as Celeste and hands her the identity card. Jazz invites the writer for coffee because she has aroused her attention. Later in the coffee shop, the two talk about Celeste's personal life with her fiance, Juanjo. Jazz discovers Celeste has never experienced the pinnacle of ecstasy. As a result, she asks Celeste if she has ever felt compelled to live an exciting life, to which she confirms. Jazz, curious about Celeste's plans to liven up her life, discovers that she intends to marry Juanjo. Jazz's smile fades, but she accepts Celeste's wedding invitation. Surprisingly, she discovers that their wedding is scheduled for this month. By the evening, Jazz has taken Celeste to a downtown bar, where they discuss the writer's relationship experience. Celeste wonders if she is lonely, especially since she does not have a lover. Jazz is content with her loneliness and does not want to be entangled in a chaotic relationship. After hearing this, Celeste feels Jazz has never been in love. Jazz, on the defensive, questions whether she is truly in love with Juanjo, but Celeste pauses slightly before responding. This prompts the writer to admonish her, stating that love is beyond dispute. Jazz, carried away, adds that love has the power to both destroy and revive. Celeste labels her a true romantic as a result of her words, but Jazz is offended. Celeste thinks about the man Jazz has been involved with as the pair drives home after their drinks. Jazz reflects on the man she met 8 years ago. According to her, their relationship was painful, and she depicts it as a romance laced with jealousy, obsession, and death. Still, she believes it is amazing and has transformed her into a brave lady. Celeste, out of curiosity, urges that Jazz demonstrate her bold side, and she agrees. Jazz kisses her, but a phone call interrupts the moment. Juanjo calls her, so Jazz asks whether she will answer. Celeste does not answer the phone since she is more interested in having sex with her. Celeste later basks in the afterglow, but she denies being a lesbian. Jazz claims she isn't, but she does point out that Celeste has finally had pleasure. Celeste is now interested about what it would be like to have this experience with a man. Jazz vows to help her, but only if Celeste tells everyone she knows about her. When Celeste wonders why, Jazz replies that she needs to learn to keep secrets. Celeste initially objected, knowing she had to lie. However, she receives another phone call from Juanjo, who urges her to lie about her whereabouts. Jazz spends the following 3 days with Celeste in search of a man who will please her. Celeste has had no attraction to any of the men she has met during their hunt. As a result, Jazz takes her to a metal performance, where Nardo, the vocalist, immediately captivates Celeste. Soon after his performance, Jazz proposes Celeste to Nardo as the one who will spend the night with him. Nardo immediately takes her to his place and disrobes her with his knife. Celeste appreciates his behaviors, despite the fact that they may be overwhelming to others. The next day, Celeste tells Jazz about her wonderful night with Nardo. Celeste believes she is in love with him, and Jazz wonders if he feels the same way. She eagerly confirms, revealing that Nardo is planning their future. In truth, Nardo simply told her his preferred method of lovemaking so that she could prepare for the next time. Regardless, Jazz believes her, although she is curious about Juanjo. Celeste notifies her that she has canceled her engagement with him over the phone. Jazz wonders if she informed him she had met someone else. Celeste rejects it since she intends to return to Juanjo if things do not work out with Nardo. Juanjo is unable to focus on his literature class because he is too emotional. His classmate, Carmen, comforts him. Even if his sobbing lasts an hour, Carmen stays with Juanjo because she has an unrequited love for him. Carmen, concerned about him, checks on him, but Nicholas, Juanjo's student, responds in his place. Nicholas believes Juanjo's fiancé abandoned him, and the grieving guy verifies. Carmen assures Juanjo that he will get over it, and she even offers to help him. Juanjo refuses to acknowledge this and confesses that Celeste broke up with him over the phone. Juanjo proclaims that if she does not explain why, he will give anything to find out. This sounds like a fantastic opportunity to improve his grades, so Nicholas makes a suggestion to him. Later that day, the two go to Juanjo's place and begin their plan to figure out why Celeste broke up with him. Nicholas only wants to steal her phone, which causes Juanjo anxiety. Shortly later, Celeste comes, and Juanjo has no idea what to do. Nicholas jokes that talking about Shakespeare will make Celeste fall asleep and allow him to steal her phone. Once Nicholas has left, Juanjo welcomes a cold-hearted Celeste. She rushes to the bedroom to pack her belongings, and Juanjo follows. He confronts Celeste about their breakup, but she refuses to entertain him. As a result of Celeste's outrageous behavior, a quarrel breaks out. Now that Celeste is distracted, Nicholas seizes the chance to steal her phone. Juanjo tries to distract her, but fails, so Nicholas returns to the restroom. Despite their initial failure, Nicholas and Juanjo are tenacious in obtaining Celeste's phone. When the ex-couple is on the balcony, Celeste places her phone on the table, unconscious of Juanjo's plans. They examine the cause for their breakup, and Celeste swears there is no third party involved. Before Juanjo can get carried away with the talk, Nicholas comes and encourages him to keep her away from her phone. In obedience, Juanjo pretends to leap from the balcony, thereby capturing Celeste's attention. Nicholas swiftly takes her phone as she tries to stop him from jumping. Following the incident, Nicholas realizes that Celeste has been repeatedly calling Nardo. Juanjo wants proof that Nardo is Celeste's new boyfriend, so Nicholas expresses his readiness to provide it. While at it, he asks Juanjo whether he wants Nardo beaten up, and he agrees. However, Nicholas agrees to carry out these tasks in exchange for good grades. Juanjo accepts since he has no other alternative. On the same day, the two travel to Nicholas's associate, the hacker, to infiltrate Celeste's SIM card server. Afterward, they pay a visit to Federico, Nicholas's friend and a vicious combatant. Furthermore, he suffers from which makes him unstable. This makes him an ideal candidate for beating up Nardo, so Nicholas conspires with him. When Federico hears Nardo's name, he gets delighted and wonders if he can fall in love with him. Carmen pays a visit to Juanjo in the evening under the pretense of soothing the broken-hearted man. In truth, she intends to seduce him. Nicholas calls Juanjo before things get out of hand. He informs him that he is currently at Nardo's show, and Celeste is in the audience. According to him, Celeste seemed to be frantic to bed Nardo. Because of this information, Juanjo gives in to Carmen's seduction and allows her to sleep with him. Celeste excitedly approaches Nardo shortly after the concert and attempts to capture his attention. Unfortunately, Nardo is not interested in her because her compulsive behavior has turned him off. Celeste wonders if he no longer wants her. To emphasize his argument, Nardo points to Federico and says he'd rather sleep with him than her. Unbeknownst to Nardo, Federico has learned of his declaration and declares his wish to bed him. But first, Federico strikes him as a form of retribution for Juanjo. Initially, he has the upper hand on Nardo. In the end, Nardo manages to turn the tables. Meanwhile, Jazz covertly records Juanjo's encounter with Carmen after receiving a phone call from Celeste. The sad woman informs Jazz that Nardo ditched her without reason. Their talk is abruptly interrupted as Federico and Nardo take their argument outside. Nardo brings Celeste with him as he seeks release. Nicholas soon follows the two to spy on them. Back in Juanjo's apartment, the man abruptly ends their intimacy as guilt overcomes him. His phone suddenly rings, encouraging him to pick it up. It turns out the caller is Nicholas, who gives him live video of Celeste's infidelity. Juanjo returns to his chamber, determined to exact his retribution, and ultimately allows Carmen to make love with him. If things go well for Juanjo, Celeste does not. because Nardo unexpectedly abandons her after discovering she left her fiancé for him. The next day, Jazz convinces Celeste that Nardo left her because he liked the feeling that she belonged to someone else. As a result, she tells Celeste to return to Juanjo so that she might have Nardo back. Celeste objects to this since she does not want to be with her ex-fiancé. Contrary to her expectations, Jazz intends to persuade someone to pretend to be Juanjo. Later, the two go to a small theater and meet Edu, a struggling theater actor. She recommends that he play the role of Juanjo in return for an ultra-theater experience. Edu accepts since he enjoys taking on new challenges. That day, Celeste phones Nardo and lies about marrying Juanjo in 2 days. To upset him, she falsely claims that marriage is preferable to sleeping with him. She wants to say her goodbyes properly, so she sets him a meeting time and location. Unbeknownst to her, Nicholas is listening in on their talk, courtesy to Hacker. On the day of their rendezvous, Nicholas surreptitiously follows the couple through the cafe. He overhears Nardo doubting Celeste's assertion that she is getting married, assuming she is faking it in order to rekindle their sexual relationship. Celeste stands by her words, so she signals Jazz for Edu's entry. Now, in character, Edu enters the cafe and affirms that their wedding will take place tomorrow. When Nardo hears this, he sends his best wishes and even offers to perform at their wedding. As he turns to depart, Nardo thinks that Edu may have dispatched Federico the last time. He returns to Edu and requests confirmation. With a little pause, Edu affirms and even mocks him. Nardo attacks him after being provoked. Then he takes Celeste to the restaurant's pantry and makes love with her. Of course, Nicholas follows them to document their affair. In Edu's case, he informs the audience that what they have watched was an ultra-theater. The audience responds with a round of applause. Shortly after, Nicholas pursues Edu to learn more about his involvement with Celeste. But before he can question Edu, Jazz instructs him to quit the scene. Edu tries to enter the car, but Nicholas runs into him. Nicholas informs Juanjo of Celeste's plan to reclaim Nardo. Furthermore, he admits that he snatched Edu's identification card when he ran into him, revealing information about Juanjo's imposter. As a result, he questions his ability to become a corrupt politician. Jazz and Celeste, on the other hand, celebrate their victory, believing that their strategy was successful and that it had been kept secret. Unlike their view, Nicholas is aware of it and has even sketched Jazz's face. This causes him to believe she's the genius behind the plan. Juanjo goes silent, making Nicholas think about his history with Jazz. To describe his past, Juanjo recalls the first time he encountered her. 8 years ago, Juanjo was a brave person who went by the moniker JJ. For Jazz, she's a shy woman known as Jacinta. He first saw her in a literary class, where he saw how their lecturer embarrassed her work. He thought her intriguing, so he invited her on a ride, wanting to corrupt her. While on the road, JJ shared his thoughts on how to better her literary work. He believed that she needed to reconcile the desire between her characters. Additionally, in the past, JJ Jacinta was invited to join him and his girlfriend Lucia in their intimate connection. Since then, she has become a brave woman known as Jazz. Back in the present, Nicholas notices that Jazz has evolved into a new version of herself, outshining Lucia in Juanjo's life. Lucia died as a result of her jealousy-fueled consumption of. Juanjo has become a boring person as a result of the guilt Lucia's death has instilled in him. After hearing his remarks, Juanjo wonders how he knew such a story, especially because he never told him. Nicholas reveals that it was the plot of Jazz's published novel, which was made into a film. Juanjo is now confused as to why Jazz planned such a ruse, and Nicholas speculates that it is most likely due to her continued feelings for him. Unbeknownst to them, Jazz realizes Nicholas is assisting Juanjo in derailing her plans. As a result, she manipulates Celeste by claiming that her ex-fiancé may attempt to separate them. She also tells her that Juanjo may lie to make Jazz the villain. The next day, Juanjo tries to explain their predicament to Celeste, emphasizing that Jazz planned everything to get him back. However, she dismisses Juanjo because she believes Jazz more than him. Since Celeste refuses to believe him, Juanjo goes to the bar where Nardo typically performs. He tells him he's the genuine Juanjo, but Nardo knocks him up in response. According to Nardo, Celeste has warned her about a man claiming to be her fiance. Juanjo says he is the actual one, but Nardo never believes him. Celeste is overjoyed when she receives a compliment from Nardo that includes a political message. Jazz, like her, receives a phone call from Juanjo, which takes her by surprise. Juanjo invites her to supper, and she gladly accepts. Later that night, Jazz eagerly arrives at the restaurant, only to meet Nicholas. During their talk, Nicholas encourages her to call Juanjo and apologize for damaging his relationship with Celeste. Jazz declines, assuming that Celeste will never return to him. She expects Juanjo to return to her arms since he does not want to be alone. Nicholas, unconcerned about her words, shows her footage that will make her regret what she said. Jazz's confidence begins to disintegrate when the camera shows Nardo and Federico's personal encounter. To enlighten her, Nicholas tells how he planned with Hacker to appear to be Nardo. Celeste previously got a political message written by a hacker. Similarly, Nardo received a message from someone claiming to be Celeste, encouraging him to be intimate. When Nardo arrives at the agreed-upon spot, he realizes that Federico sent him the message. He initially resists Federico's attempts, but eventually finds he enjoys guys. Suddenly, Celeste arrives and witnesses a terrible scene. This drives her to depart abruptly. Realizing her plan has failed, she hurries to Celeste's apartment to try to manipulate her. Unfortunately, she discovers Celeste and Juanjo together, and it appears that they have reconciled. Left with little choice, she attempts to discredit them by revealing her relationship with Juanjo. Regardless, the couple remained unconcerned, so Jazz turns on Celeste. She tells Juanjo that she slept with his fiance, but he is unconcerned because Celeste told him earlier. This time, the couple makes a surprising announcement. They'll marry in 2 days. However, shortly after their wedding, Celeste realizes something. As a result, she pushes Juanjo into a corner and admits she does not love him. In reality, Juanjo feels the same way about her. Before leaving, Juanjo encourages her to uncover her own self, which makes her emotional. For the final time, the two kiss. Carmen witnesses this, and it makes her bitter. As a result, she invites Nicholas home with her. Later that day, Juanjo goes to Jazz's place since he's ready to be independent. He notices her house is in disorder and asks for her attention. Jazz senses his presence and leaves her room. With their unexpected encounter, Juanjo admits he left Celeste for her. He understands Jazz has only done such awful things because she loves him so much. It will be his loss if he let her go. 5 years later, Jazz gives birth to their third kid. She remains a well-known writer under her new pen name, Jacinta Yasmin. Similarly, Celeste is now a writer who has released a book about settling one's desires. Nico, on the other side, is running for Prime Minister of Spain and married to Carmen. Nardo is blissfully in a relationship with Federico, who constantly makes him feel unique. Please do hit that like button if you enjoyed the recap. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell for more movie recaps. Stay tuned for our next cinematic adventure, and until then, happy watching.